Can you hear that?
I know that's so old.
You know that song, right? So here we are, and there's Darryl Strawberry live, and it's just me and Darryl. Dave Stevens here live on Facebook. Our very first ever attempt to have fun and talk and show some insights in my life and some of the amazing people that have come across my life. And right here tonight, joining me live is Mr. Darryl Strawberry. And Straw, I am so excited that you are here with me. Say hi to everybody out there in the world on Facebook land, and what's going on in your world with this new world that we're in?
What's up, everybody on Facebook? All is well. I mean, this is the new way that we have to connect and everything. I mean, of course, we all are in such a different time right now, and we all have to be extremely careful about our life and what we do. You would never come to this place and believe that we would be in a situation like we are, but here we are. And I guess we are different from most of the young people. They know all about live streaming and using all these different different networks, to be able to make things work. So we're kind of hanging out. I see you got the St. Paul Saints, one of my favorite places to play baseball. Amazing people, amazing time, and that's how me and you got hooked up. It was so cool, for us to be able to be, on the field together and on the same team and just, really having a ball, I think, more than anything.
Well, I'm glad you're here with me tonight, and our friends are kind of tuning in now and jumping in here. And, we're just going to go kind of on a little road of your life. And again, this is the first time I've ever tried to do these kind of things. So, we might as well start right at the beginning, where you got started. And let's see here if we can do this here. Try to escape this. I'm learning this stuff here. Exit full screen, go here, make this full screen. And we play this, and I don't know if you can see this, but that's your first major league hit when you were a little puppy, and you had started 0 for 11 after that, and you got your first hit, and then of course you followed up with a home run, and the rest is history. But what was that like? The pressure on you. You're 0 for 11, and you kind of got in there, and you're thinking, man, these people, these fans. I'm a young kid. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Well, it was so different, coming into New York, and the expectations were so high. And I just remember coming up, and was it a lot of pressure? Yeah, it probably was, but it was still baseball. And I just had to remember that baseball is never going to change. It's always going to be the same game playing as a kid growing up. And can you handle the difficult times? I think a lot of times players are not able to handle the difficult times. I got off to a rough start. And from there, after getting that first hit and getting my first home run, then started to break the ice. It was just a part of getting back to just being comfortable, going from the minor leagues to the major leagues to bigger ballparks and better players. So I had to make the adjustment and had to work hard. And I thank God for, Jim Fry, who just passed the other day, was my coach. And I just remember him pushing me that year in spring training in '83 when I came to spring training, big league camp, and he just took a hold of me and started liking me and saw that I was a really good young player, and he just told me to keep working hard. And I came to the big leagues, and I just remember that one time I was supposed to be at the ballpark early, and I wasn't, and he was waiting for me down in the cage, and he just sat me down and gave me a real lesson that this would be the last time I speak to you about it, and I will never wait for you again. And I knew from that point I needed to be at the ballpark early, and I started making it to the ballpark early at 1:30 every day, and just to be at the ballpark, and games wasn't until 7 o'clock. And from that point on, I started learning what it was going to take to be a major league ball player. And bless his heart, he just passed away, Jim Fry, and he was my hitting coach. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have become the player that I became. I became a great major league baseball player because of him pushing me and driving me and making sure that I was, not because I was very talented, but I had to have the mental capacity to be able to play at that level. And he would always just sit down with me, and he would talk to me, and he would let me know that these guys are only better than you right now because of the experience they have. And he says, you have to gain the experience, and it comes with working hard. So like I said, again, bless Jim Fry heart, of his passing, but I got the chance to speak to him a few months back just to thank him, and I was really happy that I got a chance to speak with him. I didn't really know he was sick, and I got a chance to speak with him and just to tell him thank you for what he did for me. He allowed me to become such a great Major League Baseball player.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. It was such a great, manager and a good, he knew how to teach. And I'm wondering if there was one thing that he left you with as a hitter that really sticks out for you.
Well, it wasn't a lot of things he left. For me as a hitter, he left a lot of things for me to be a complete player. He looked at me not just as someone, that's going to be an offensive player. He wanted me to be all around a complete player. And I think he did the same thing when he went over to Chicago for Ryan Sandberg. I think he did the same thing for him. He turned him for a guy to hitting the ball the other way, turned him into a guy to hitting the ball out of the ballpark at Wrigley Field. So he just had a way about him to make young players better and make them believe. I think what he did for me, he made me believe in my ability to play at the major league level, which a lot of players can come up there and you can have one good year and then you never hear about them again. But, after my first year, I started to grow from there. Was it some tough times? Yeah. But I just remember all the things that Jim made me understand at that time, that there's going to be some tough days and you got to be able to learn how to battle through. So I think that was what was really important for me, was being able to learn how to battle through the hard times.
Now, talk about the hard times. I mean, you had the world, you and Doc, they're just kind of handed the keys to the city. I mean, what was that like? I know you've touched on it, but man, to just be that young, to be put in such a city that you were, I mean, it was just a matter of time before that kind of thing was going to catch up to you, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people say, well, they could have handled that. You never know what you can handle, until you get put in a position like that, and to be able to play in New York at such a young age. New York is a different place. It's not like going to Seattle and playing where it's nice and quiet and people are different. The pressures and the expectations with the media in New York is totally different. So the expectations were high for us, after my rookie year, winning Rookie of the Year, and Doc coming in '84 and winning Rookie of the Year back to back. And, the expectations for us was to win. And we did. We eventually got to that place in 1986 and beating the Red Sox, and then we were expected to win more. So there's a lot of challenges that comes with expectations in life, and I think for all of us, we're all going to be faced with some of those different challenges in our life, and how do we deal with them? How do we handle them? Doesn't mean just because you make mistakes and fall short doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that, there's some things that need to be corrected in your life. And, we all going to fall short in some kind of a way. Can we get back up and learn and learn the lessons of that? And it took me a long time, through my 17-year Major League career, to go through the process of being successful and having some trials and tribulations and being able to get back up and become the man that you were created to be. I mean, that's a hard challenge for all of us to look at ourselves sometime in the face when we face with all different type of things. Can we overcome those things? So, I'm very fortunate that I was able to do that in my life, and it takes people around you to be around the right people to help you to go through the whole process.
Now, those teams came together, and of course, obviously, we want to take a little look at 1986, and just how awesome was that moment? When you guys had been through so much as a team, and the media and everybody didn't believe in you guys, and Game 6 and all those kind of things, and then boom, you gave the Mets what they hadn't had in a long, long time.
Well, we were so good. We were so good together. I think that's what makes the team go. We had all the pieces that we needed to do what we needed to do. With Hernandez coming over, Carter coming over. Carter was a major part of, us coming to the place of winning, and then all the other players, Ray Knight, all the players that were put together with that team. It was a very special group of guys. Yeah, we had so much fun playing together, and I think that's what's really important. When we went into that season, we had lost the year before against Cardinals in '85. The Cubs beat us in '84. So we came close those 2 years, and we came into '86. And we just remember the first day of spring training, we had our first team meeting, and David didn't have a lot to say. He just said, hey, we're going to dominate this year. We're going to win it all. And we just kind of looked around and thought, hey, it's our time. And, once we started that season, we'd never look back. And we didn't even panic in the playoffs either. We're behind games against the Astros, and we come back and win those ball games, and we were behind in that series against the Red Sox, and we never panicked as a team. I think that's what made us so great, is not being able to panic in the middle of those situations, because we knew we were so good, and we won I believe we won 108 ball games that year.
Now things changed. You end up, going to San Francisco, going to the Dodgers, and of course things kind of, took a turn for you. It's you've talked about it. It's well documented. When did you start to realize that, just walking out and hitting a baseball wasn't going to have you have a job in the major leagues?
Well, you just realize, things do change, and, I got involved in a lot of different things, and I started going down the wrong road and got in the midst of addiction, which will take your life and take you in a different direction, and, drinking and partying. And, I went to LA, signed as a free agent and signed a $20 million contract. At that time, I was miserable. My first marriage was falling apart. I was an alcoholic. I was a womanizer. And I was living like a heathen. So, and things went down, and things will go down in your life if you don't change the situation of your life. And I think we all are faced with some type of different things, but do we really take responsibility and step up and change those things? And for a long time I didn't. So I never blamed anybody for my downfall. I accepted who I was and my responsibility, and and went through what I had to go through, all those hard times I had to go through. See, the hard times made me better, I think, more than anything. And as I look back over them, and I'm very thankful for the hard times, because I would never be the man that I am today, the man that was created to be, and if I hadn't went through those hard times. And sometimes people think, well, hard times you're not supposed to go through. Yeah, hard times can make you better, and make you evaluate yourself in the circumstances that you're in, and it makes you become better than what you were before. See, I'm so much greater than being a baseball player. I think everybody dwelled on my baseball playing days and who I was and what I could have been. And, now I have such a different life, and I stand on such a bigger platform than a baseball platform, and winning games. Instead of winning games, I'm winning souls. I'm an evangelist now, and I travel the country. My life has become totally different, and I preach in front of thousands of people, something that I never thought I could do. I know I couldn't do, but I wasn't qualified to do it. But through my faith and my walk, and God qualified me to do it, and now it's a bigger stage than actually standing up to the plate and hitting a baseball.
Well, that's, I've known you so long, and we've been up and down and all that. And, it's like, and then you ended up, in St. Paul. And it was like, yeah, I love playing this video for everybody out there, because let's see, we'll get out of this. And again, I'll learn how to do this stuff someday, but let's see, we are right. Where are we here? That was Yankees. And let's go to, let's see. Come here, get down here. There we go. Play this. This will bring back some memories for you. So Darryl comes to St. Paul. He thinks all eyes are going to be on him because, this big comeback, and the guy's fallen from grace and down to the minor leagues. And then this dude without legs shows up the day you come out. And, I had no idea you were going to be there. I had no idea Jack Morris was going to be there. And, I come walking out, and suddenly, all the cameras are looking at me, and maybe a little less pressure on you. But, it's one of the weirdest, I think, stories of bonding, because our backgrounds are very similar as far as addiction and things like that. But here's a legless guy becoming friends with one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And I'm just, I'm like, your memories are different than my memories, because you saw me for a different way. And I'm just wondering, as we watch this, what, you came out, and someone told me that you were even thinking about quitting baseball, and then you saw me, and it's very humbling to even hear something like that, just because Darryl Strawberry is a household name.
Yeah, but I did. I saw you, and I just thought, wow, it made me understand life a little bit better, and to learn to be grateful and be thankful, and just to see your love and your compassion that you have for the game of baseball, and then to be able to bond a relationship. I think a lot of players were like, really envy of that because we were like really cool together and we just hung out all the time. And, you know, we had a lot of talks about a lot of things in life. And, you know, it was just good to see you be able to stand up, you know, from where you had been in life and to be able to be out there on the field. So it brought a lot of joy to me. As you can see, we just hung out all the time. It was just, you know, just us. And you actually got a chance to play in the game, couple games, and you actually got a chance to, you know, pinch hit for me. I thought that was, you know, probably the icing on the cake, you know.
You had 3 home runs. Straw, you had 3 home runs. And this is one of the greatest stories it's like people don't believe it. So Darryl has 3 home runs. I'm sitting there. I'm not expecting to play. We're in Madison, Wisconsin. One of my high school friends is there. I'm like, you know, it's still cool to be here. And all of a sudden, like out of The Simpsons, you know, I'm hearing now batting for Darryl Strawberry, Dave Stevens. And I'm looking over and you're telling, you know, Marty Scott, hey, put Dave in the game and let him hit for – like, who doesn't want to hit 4 home runs in a baseball game?
It didn't matter to me. I mean, at that time, I just really wanted to give you that opportunity. I mean, I thought it was really cool opportunity, you know, after I already played and hit a couple home runs, that you would come in and, you know, pinch hit for me. It would be a great ending to that ball game and a great story.
If I hadn't taken that called third strike, but you know, I've got
that's all right.
Here, and you know,
that's all good. You know, you got a chance. You know, it took a lot of courage for you to come up and pinch hit for me in that situation, and you did it. You know, so that was the most important part.
I'll never forget that. You know, I'll never forget our time together. You know, because you know, you taught me so much of a lesson as far as I tell people not to judge a book by its cover when they see a guy without legs or pity him people. But, you know, there were so many demons and stories and things like you that everybody's like, don't talk to Darryl. Why would you talk to Darryl? And it's just like, I remember us having, you know, iced tea drinking together. And I'm like, you know, is it tough for Darryl to be here in a restaurant or a bar with alcohol around? But it's like, our bond became more than baseball. And we've stayed in touch over the years. I came to Yankee Stadium and saw you, and, you know, we've stayed in touch.
Our bond became real life, you know, it's real life as real people. And I think so many people never take the time out for that. And, you know, the good thing about us is we took the time out, you know, to have a bond and have a friendship, which is more important than baseball, which is more important than me being successful. Your story is more touching to me than, you know, me being successful as a baseball player. And that's how our relationship became what it had become, you know, because we saw more, we needed to talk about real things. And, you know, you were a big help for me, and hopefully, hopefully at the same time I was for you as we walked through that process, you know, with the St. Paul Saints. Because you go back and really look at it, it was really a great time. There was no pressure on us. You know, it was just us. We can have fun, you know, being here in St. Paul. And, you know, the people there were great. The fans were great. You know, the organization was great. And we never forget how well they treated us.
I'll never forget, you know, at the top of the first inning, and here I am starting as a second baseman with no legs. My dream come true to play professional baseball. I look over and there's Darryl Strawberry over my right shoulder in right field. We got Jack Morris. I mean, it's almost, you know, I call it a Forrest Gump moment, because, you know, it's not Forrest Gump. It's like it was me doing this, you know, and still to this day, I still, you know, if I lived in this era, in this generation, you know, we might have Bruno Mars playing me in My Life Story or something like that. But, you know, just to be able, you know, we didn't have the internet, so people weren't, you know, doing those kind of things. It was very organic. Now, the media was crazy, and they were mean to you, and they were mean to me, and they're like, what's this freaky guy doing? And, you know, is this a joke? And it's like, but, you know, Mike Veck gave you your opportunity. He gave me my opportunity, and he's just a special guy.
Right. Mike Veck is a special guy. He's totally different. And he really didn't care what anybody had to say or think, you know, and that's what we have to be like in life, you know, it's not always about, you know, those that have so much to say. Those that always have so much to say, always pointing fingers at people. 3 fingers are pointing right back at them. They forgot when they point theirs, the other 3 are pointing right back at them. So, you know, it really wasn't about me. It really wasn't about you. It was about the St. Paul Saints, and, you know, it was about us being a part of their team and us coming together and enjoying, you know, that time together. And it's a great story on me because of real life and what we go through in real life. And, you know, who would ever thought, you know, that me and you would become best buds, you know, throughout that whole process, you know, which we did. So, you know, which is really cool, you know, because compared to so many other normal people, that would consider themselves as be normal. Why would I want to hang out with you, and why would you want to hang out with me? It's because we are normal, and that's that's the whole thing about it. So
Well, yeah, and that's when I talk and speak, I say, what is normal?
right,
If you're black, you're black. You're Hispanic, you're Hispanic. But for me, when they label me disabled or handicapped, a car is disabled. That's a bad thing. Handicap, people, they lump you in with somebody with a brain deficiency or somebody with autism or something like that, and those are horrible things. But
right.
I've always fought to be thought of as either limb different or just Dave, a guy without legs. I played college football, I did all these things, I got to go to ESPN. I just wanted to be known for me, just like you. People come up to you now and it's like they want to talk baseball, Darryl Strawberry, they want to do this kind of thing, and we're going to talk a little more now, but I want to get to the bigger picture. But how have you had to separate Darryl Strawberry, the baseball player, from Darryl Strawberry, the minister, or the not baseball player?
Well, I mean, it's been pretty easy for me. I mean, it's not for most people, because that's what most people remember me as, putting on the uniform and playing and excelling and doing great things, and then, having some real issues off the field and struggling, going through some hard times. But they don't look at the transformation of my life. My life is so different, of who I am and what I'm really mean to so many people today because of helping so many people. And they don't understand, one that has the courage like yourself and I to overcome and go through some things, but still use our ability and our platform to make a difference in other people's lives is more greater than the baseball and the trophies. And I think so many people don't really understand that part, but I'm more satisfied in my life about who I am today, and reaching across, the aisle on the other side of helping so many people hurting. And I come from addiction. I got 17 years in recovery, and I think so many people today with the epidemic that are losing their life, young people or youth losing their life because of opiates and heroin addiction, and me being able to speak in those arenas to kids and going to schools and have such an impact and talk about real life stuff. Let's get to the place where we don't sugarcoat life anymore, like we don't have problems. People act like they don't have problems. They live behind the white picket fence and there's no problems in their household. We're in a place in a time now that we all are struggling through something. We're all going through something, and you don't know who's the next person to jump off the bridge. And we're trying to convince that person you don't have to jump because you've had some hard times. Hard times are real, and it's real life, and it's what we have to go through. And we all have to figure it out some kind of way in the end.
Now, Straw, I grew up poor. I wasn't affluent. You had your issues. Your father had some addictions that may have led to some of your struggles. When did you realize that you were an addict and that you needed help? I mean, it's one of those things we never want to admit to, and we have all the money in the world, or you're the toast in New York. It's like, when did you realize, man, I got to do something about this?
Well, that's a good question, because, most of the times, when celebrities have major problems, they don't, people always try to sweep it under the rug like they really don't have problems, and they don't let them go, and they don't let them fall far enough. And sometimes that's a sad thing, because everybody covers it up and sweep it under the rug. And for me, it didn't get covered up. It kept being a public thing. So that's when I really started to realize, that I really have some real struggles, and I needed to get some help and listen to some people. And I think about so many celebrities that have had to overdose and die because of everybody sweeping it under the rug for them and covering their problems up because they got money and they live behind community gates. And it was the same for me. And I'm just glad that my situation turned out where it did get exposed, because that gave me an opportunity to be able to get some real help and know that, that there's a real problem there, and if you don't ever get to that place where you get exposed, you don't really consider yourself having a problem, because I can get someone else to bail me out, and once people continue to bail you out, you end up bailing yourself into the grave. And that's what happens in this lifestyle, that I lived for a very long time. So I had some wonderful people, around me, like my dear friend Ron Dark, who worked for the Yankees, and he was there with me all the time. And then my wife, Tracy, who came into my life, that really helped me and got me straightened out and got me on the right road.
We'll talk about, your good comebacks, after St. Paul and our fun and friendship. You got to go back to New York, and it was a magical thing to watch. Just, the old straw was back, 3 home runs in a game, the World Series. I mean, what was it like to get back into that stadium and play Major League Baseball again after everything you'd been through?
Well, it was pretty cool, especially with the Yankees and having the boss George give me an opportunity to come over and put on the Yankee pinstripes and be able to, play for a team with so much history and, so much joy to be over there with Joe Torre and all the guys. We just, we had a group of guys who loved and cared for each other and who played baseball the right way. And that's what's so important. That's what's always been important for me playing baseball, is being able to be around guys who love playing the game and play the game the right way, play the game to win. You're not selfish. You're not self-centered. You're really all about the team and put the team first. And I think that's what it was really like coming back to the big leagues and playing with the Yankees.
And then, of course, you get to that point where the success starts, and all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to go get checked out. And then suddenly they're telling you have cancer at your age. I mean, when you got that, like, it must have just blown your mind, because you're about to play, in the postseason.
Well, yeah, that was this next year, the season of the 98 season. I ended up playing the whole season that year and had a good year. We had a good run, and the team was on the way into the playoffs. And, I was very fatigued at the end of the year, and I was having blood in the stool, and I ended up with colon cancer, and I ended up having to go through a serious surgery that put a setback on me. And of course, it was no fun, having to go through that process and dealing with cancer, and then to have it reoccur again in 2000, it was a real struggle. It was a real battle. Anytime, you have to go through any process like that, it's always scary, and you just never know the outcome of it, And I just remember going through it in 98, and then I remember coming back and playing in 99 and going through it again in 2000 and losing my left kidney in the second surgery. So, I've had some physical challenges and, mental challenges, just about everything that I've been through. I've been tested on every level, just put it like that.
Have you been tested for corona yet?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've been out of the way of that. I've stayed home in the Midwest, which has been great. I mean, the coronavirus has done some serious damage to people's lives and uprooted all our lives, and put us all in a place of being stopped, and sometimes a stoppage is good. It's probably something we all needed, at some point in time. And I know I have, and I'm not complaining about it. And you make the best out of it.
Well, you have made the best of many situations, and it's like, people always want to ask me, what was the lowest point of my life? Was it when my mom and dad died, or was it when I was addicted to drugs and dropped out of college, or was it when I lost my job at ESPN and, had no future and didn't know what I was going to do? You've had so many highs and lows, and then you went through some lows in Florida with some situations where you had to really kind of chill out for a little while, and yet you've overcome it again to succeed, probably the biggest success of your life.
Oh yeah, the thing is with all of us is not to quit, not to give up. I think sometimes so many people give up because they go through some hard times. Nobody ever said it was going to be easy. My mama told me before she passed away that it wasn't going to be easy for me. She said it was going to be hard, but she made it clear to me. She said, God's going to get it out of you, and he's going to get the call out of your life what he's called you for. And she was right, and that, I think a lot of times some people don't listen to what mama has to say. Mama does not lie. Everybody else may lie to you, but your mama will not lie to you. And I'm just so grateful that she kept me in her hand, and she kept me in her prayer, and she kept the belief in my life that it would be what it was going to be. And it has turned out to be that way.
Well, I think it's been amazing, what you've gone through, and, the perseverance that you had to get by and to be able to continue to you've had so many comebacks. I mean, so what, was the cancer your best comeback? Was, overcoming, your addiction your best comeback, or dealing with jail your best comeback? I mean, what has been the best Darryl Strawberry comeback?
Well, I think overall, all of it is a great comeback, for us, because you never know what you're going to be hit with in life. And that's the real reality, because nobody signs up to be broken. You know, brokenness is real. Lawlessness brings about brokenness, and no one signs up for that. And I think sometimes people think money should make you well. Money doesn't make you well. It just makes you buy more stuff and live a different way. It never makes you well. Could never make you well on the inside. Only one thing can make you well on the inside, and being healed completely on the inside. And I think once I went through that process and that transformation, getting healed from the rejection of my father when I was young, and having to live through all that, and he was alcoholic, and all the things that I was told I could never achieve, and I went on to achieve them anyway. But still, at the same time, I was still broken because of the empty holes on the inside. And once I filled myself with the right stuff on the inside, with God's love and the walk of faith and the true walk of living, and now I honor everything that I've been through, because now I see it was a reason to go through it, to be able to have the platform that I have today. Because the platform that I have today, I'm not qualified to do. The platform I had to play baseball, I was qualified to do it because I had the talent. But the platform that he's put me on today is totally different, and I'm not qualified to do it. But he's educated me, and he's empowered me with such a different revelation that doesn't come from an earthly standpoint. It comes from a kingdom standpoint, and it's allowed me to do some things that will make a difference. He uses our story for his glory to help somebody else who is struggling and maybe going through something, just to encourage them, to let them know that they can overcome it too.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who are turning to God right now, because we really, it's actually a good thing. I think it's kind of a good thing in certain aspects for us to kind of.
It's a wake up. It's a wake up call for everybody at this point in time, to show you that anything can happen. Any kind of virus or anything can happen that can come on the earth and stop everybody at this. I mean, everybody at one time. Nobody ever thought everybody at one time would be stopped. There's no sports. There's no entertainment going on. It's just real life of looking at each other and trying to figure out where do we go from here? Do I learn anything from here? Do I grow from here? Or do I stay the same? When this is over, do I go back to being the same foolish person I was, or do I change some things about myself?
Well, Darryl, you talk about changing yourself, because I've watched you evolve, and I don't think we ever stop evolving. People want to look at us one way and see us that way. They want to see the young kid. They want to say, oh, you pissed away a Hall of Fame baseball career, and you blew money, and you did all those kind of things. Yet, our backgrounds sometimes help us become that way. I was adopted. My parents died early. I lost my role model. So I ended up trying to become the best father I could. And I'm wondering how many of the things that you have battled with, especially with your dad and what you went through, turned you into the best father you possibly could be.
Yeah, it really has turned me into the best father. It turned me into a man, after everything that I went through, and being able to stand and do the things that I'm doing today, compared to, putting on the uniform and hitting home runs. That's a skill set. But, when you come to a place and understanding the purpose of your life, and you have kids, and you want them to, you want to make sure that they have the best opportunity. You don't want to try to control their life, but you want to let them know that there's consequences behind every bad decision. And you have to be able to, you're able to give that to them. You don't want to sit here and be this fake person where you tell them, everything's going to go well, because it's not. That's a lie. You're lying to them. Everything is not going to go well here. You gotta be able to let them know that there's going to be some real challenges here, and there's going to be some tough times. And can you handle them? Can you battle through them? And can you fight through them? Because you're going to have to go through them. I may not be here to see all the challenges that you have to go through, because I've already went through them in my life, but I can give you from my experience that I went through. I can give that to you, and hopefully you can understand when they do come, you'll know how to deal with them. You won't give up, and you won't quit.
Now, it sounds funny, but there are literally strawberries all over the United States. I mean, how are your kids doing? Like DJ, everybody kind of, fill in how proud you are as a papa. You had a daughter that played volleyball. I mean, every strawberry has had this success.
Yeah, they have, and I've been very fortunate and very blessed to be able to watch them. My two boys, DJ and played at Maryland. Jordan played at Mercer basketball. He was a starting point guard over there, and he did well. And my daughter Jay played at UConn. She played volleyball. My daughter Alice, she went to Arkansas, and my other daughter, she'll be sophomore coming up, at well, she's going into her junior. She's a sophomore now. She's going into her junior year at Boston College. She's at BC, and she plays volleyball. So I've been pretty blessed to be able to see them, spread out and and become who they want to become. I really never wanted to shove down my boy's throat that you got to play baseball because I played baseball. That was not the case, and they ended up playing baseball and basketball and doing well. So I'm pretty thankful for to see my kids grow and who they are becoming.
Well, I mean, the things that you're doing now has just it's been awesome to see, and I can't wait to see. Let's see, where are we here with again the fun of trying to get this situation settled. But here you are, good looking guy up there, spreading God's word, talking to everybody. And like, when did you figure out you had a calling to do this? Because I know you hate doing interviews, but now you go out, you talk to thousands of people, and they've got to be like, well, what does he know about this? And then you tell your story, and suddenly everybody's like, wow, I do believe in Darryl Strawberry again.
Well, hey, it's something that you don't know until you actually discipline yourself to do it. And it's a call that's it's far greater than yourself, because you have to have a transformation. You have to become a different person inside of yourself, and you have to allow God to work through you, and you have to study. I had to do a lot of studying. I never went to school to preach. He just called me from where I was 10 years ago and said that I was going to preach, and he said supernaturally, the Holy Spirit is going to teach you the word, and you start studying. I started saturating myself and laying with the Holy Spirit and staying away from everybody and just studying at night. And he empowered me with his gift. And, it's a free gift, but he only gives it to you when he knows that you're going to be equipped to be able to do it the right way. And I just wanted to be able to stand up on a stage where it was for him and knowing that it was not about me. It was really about his word that I would be able to deliver to people so people can get set free, just like I was, to be able to show them that no one else can liberate you or redeem you and bring you to wholeness but God himself. We could try everything else to try to make us feel good, but it will just make you feel good for a hot minute, because I've already been there. I've already been rich. I've already been famous. I've already lived behind community gates. So I know that doesn't make you well. That just makes you have more stuff than the next person. But I know today, that when I do stand up on the stage, I know who I am in Christ, and I know what I'm about to deliver you. It doesn't come from man. It comes from God himself, because it comes through his word.
We both have been saved so many times. Getting to St. Paul for me was, I thank God every day for, getting to achieve my dreams. I know somebody very special, Mark Goldklang, was very special and instrumental in helping you to get to St. Paul. I mean,
yeah.
When you have those kind of relationships, it's got to feel good for them that they took that chance on you, like Marv did, and said, no, Darryl's not going to, burn me, So what does it mean like that when you come out of this on top and you prove people wrong, but you also prove those believers that believed in you made the right choice?
Yeah, you never worry about don't worry about the haters and the doubters, because they're gonna always be there. They always got something to say, because they have their own issues, and they don't want to deal with themselves, and they don't want to look at themselves. They will always want to put themselves above someone else and make themselves better, because we all fall short. And that's the whole thing, when you understand that. And, it's God's grace for all of us to give to all of us freely. But, when you have people like Marv and you have people like that, you always go back, and you always thank them when you see them, and you give them the biggest hugs, because they were people who believed in you when nobody else did. When George believed in me and brought me to the Yankees, nobody else believed in me. So you're always grateful for those people who have been a part of your life, because you're going to always have people that always have something to say, because they themselves don't want to see anyone, go forward. They want to see people down. People like to see people down. They kick people when they're down. But you know what? I noticed that I noticed ESPN and all these other outlets used to have major highlights on me when I was having trouble, but they never had one story on me about standing in an arena or Liberty University preaching the gospel in front of 13,000 kids. They never had one story on me about these kind of things that I've done over the last 10 years.
How many times have you and I talked about that? Where I even, when I was there, I was trying to pitch it. I'm like, you built one of the greatest rehab centers in Tampa, one of the most successful. You have done so many things to touch lives. Now you're touching lives. And again, we always dwell on the Tiger Woods negatives and we don't, but it's like, your comeback is complete. And I don't think people know your story. And I think one of the best stories is how you met your wife, how you met Tracy, because that is not a normal way. And usually when you put two people like that have those issues, you don't always come out on top.
Yeah, you don't always come on top. And we met through addiction, and then she had a year clean, and I was just coming back, and we met through that process, and we went through a rocky time because I was still out using, and she wasn't, and she was trying to keep me clean, and she was trying to keep me away from places, and she was pulling me out of dope houses and stuff like that. And yeah, it was some really, really hard times, but we stayed together and we worked through it, and the Lord came into our life, and we built a whole life together, and with a blended family with our kids and stuff, and our marriage, and we've been strong in that, and we got a whole ministry. Our ministry is findingyourway.com. We've been able to help so many people and had treatment centers, and she's a pastor, and she's well educated and in the ministry and everything. She does a lot of things just as well as I do. So it's been a remarkable run and turnaround. And like I said, you never hear ESPN saying, well, let's go look at this guy's life now. No, why? Because he's not talking about baseball. He's not struggling anymore. He's talking about his faith in God. And well, we don't really want to hear that, because you don't want to hear stories like that, because those stories are winners. They don't talk about winners, because I've been winning for a long time because of my life with my wife and our ministry and what we've done. And so we've just been thankful that, the Lord would use us and allow us to help so many people, because at the end of the day, Dave, is really about helping people at the end of the day. And can most people say that? I'm not sure if most people can really say that that's their journey. And that's been my journey ever since, my life has turned around. It's not about me. I'm well. It's about, going back and spreading the love and helping somebody else.
Well, people all the time are like, are you really friends with Darryl? But you and I don't talk baseball a lot. You'll call, see how am I doing? We'll text each other. You've called my kids on their birthdays. I mean, we don't talk a lot of baseball because it's not who you are now. And I don't think you get enough appreciation. The fans, they still want to bring you in, and I'm sure you get card offers and all those. You go to you're a Hall of Famer in the Mets, and you get to come to those kind of functions. You're lucky to do Yankees and that, but I mean, do you think there's ever going to be a time where, they remember Darryl Strawberry the man and not Darryl Strawberry what should have been?
Well, I don't think they will until I pass away. I think they don't realize that too. For one, life is over, and then they won't talk about you. They'll talk about you for about a week, and then they won't talk about you anymore, because I've seen a lot of great people move on from here and cross over, and they talk about them for a week after they death, and then they don't talk about them anymore. So I think people don't really appreciate what really happens, in a life here a lot of times, because, they're looking for their own selfish reasons to think, well, you should have been this. Well, I'm a great man instead of a great baseball player. There's a lot of guys that's going into the Hall of Fame. That's whoopee for them. But I'm going into the Hall of Faith, for all this, maybe the souls that I get a chance to win. So I consider that it's such an honor to work for God instead of working for baseball teams, and being able to help other people and help other people come to a greater place and relationship and their faith more than me putting on a uniform. And they say, well, I remember you hit this home run. Yeah, I've hit a lot of home runs. I did a lot of great things on the baseball field, but, I feel my best achievements now is what I'm doing in the ministry and who I'm helping and trying to win their life to Christ.
335 career regular season home runs, to be exact, in case you forgot that, just in case, just off the top of my head.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you wanted to remind me of that, huh?
As we wind down, and it's been so awesome, and I know this is broken down on the internet, but we have the long one, so we'll play out the whole version that's been recorded. But my friends have been asking some questions. There's so much love. If you see the Facebook feed, there's so much love and adoration for you right now from people coming out there, and a couple of them, since we're talking baseball, would be, who was the toughest pitcher that you faced in the big leagues?
Well, the toughest pitcher I faced was Nolan Ryan. In the big leagues. Nolan was so different, and he was old school, and he just had a different demeanor about himself than any pitcher I ever saw standing on the mound.
What, I guess, who do you think we would label as Hall of Famer, All-Star? Who was a guy that you owned that you just, you couldn't understand this guy was supposed to be so great, and you just had kind of, it's never easy because it's not easy to hit a baseball, but you had more success?
Well, pretty much all the rest of them, I had more. I had more success against a lot of the pitchers. You know, I mean, there's some guys that I think Rod Scurry, you know, for the Pittsburgh Pirates, he was a left-hander. He had a hook that I just never could hit. So, you know, it would be somebody like that coming out of the bullpen that was so different that you wouldn't even know about. And especially a left-hander like him, he had a breaking ball that would just make you bail out and take off running. So he was always tough to me. But I mean, I faced a lot of guys that I really didn't have a worry about going up against. I think there was a few guys, you know, that I didn't face much, like Randy Johnson. I don't think I would have had a lot of success against him because he was very difficult to, you know, pick up the ball from his hand.
With your skills, do you look now and does it, I mean, sometimes you just kind of let it linger, like what you might command for a contract in this day and age?
Well, it'll be more than most of these guys because most of these guys just all they are is just a home run hitters. No guys can run bases. They can't they don't go to first and third. They don't steal bases. You know, they don't do the exciting things of like a lot of players did back in the days when I were playing and coming up. You know, we had guys like Eric Davis and myself and you know, home run hitters. You had even Canseco, you know, was a great base stealer, you know, in his days of home run. And, you know, people don't look at players like that, and they don't look at guys like, you know, Alex. Alex was a great player too. Alex Rodriguez, he was a great player before Bonds and all those guys, Junior and Griffey. We were before all those guys that we did more than just hit home runs, you know. And so it's been a lot of great players who have played the game. You know, Tim Raines, you know, was a great player, base stealer back in the days. You don't see a lot of that anymore in baseball like you used to, because when we were playing the Vince Coleman's, you know, guys that ran a lot, Ozzie Smith and
100 stolen bases, yeah. I mean,
yeah, you know, Willie McGee, all those guys, you know, on the Cardinals, who they were base runners and stuff like that. You don't see a lot of that. You don't see a lot of guys that they would go from first to home when the ball's hit down in the alley or down the line or something like that, you know, because I don't know. They just don't. They don't play at the highest level like we played back in the day. So in the ballparks are so much smaller now for the guys, and everybody think, well, everybody's a home run hitter now. So let's keep hitting home runs.
now many people play so long they don't win World Series. You got 4 rings. Is one better than the other, or would they just be different? I mean, is obviously the Mets first one great, but then what you overcame to get to the Yankees. I mean, are they equal? Are they parallel, or does one mean more in certain things than the other?
Well, they all are important when you look at it, because you can play your whole career, and a lot of guys have played their whole career and never got a chance to get into the winning circle. And at the end of the day, people never look at you about numbers. They look at you on your success as a team. When you think about our teams, and you think about the Braves, and they had such a good team all those years, and they only won 1 championship, out of that whole run, and winning the division every year, and they were stacked with great pitching, but they never got to the place where they were champions, you know. And you know, you look at some of the great players who played the game, never got in the winning circle. So it's really all about getting into that winning circle at the end of the day. You can put up a lot of numbers, but can you win?
Well, I always think, you know, people are going to look at you and they're going to always respect you because you were such an amazing part of baseball for, you know, for really important history parts. And, you know, I always thought, you know, if you ever could get to Cooperstown, I think you have the numbers, you know, you can put your numbers against people. I mean, does that ever cross your mind that might happen down the road somewhere?
No, I mean, at this point, no, I never think about that. You know, I mean, my life has changed so much. I'm such a different person now. I'm so far away from baseball. I don't even really think about, you know, baseball and numbers and, you know, those kind of things. And I think about the calling that's up on my life is so great. And, you know, what I've been able to achieve throughout this process is far greater than anything I ever achieved on the baseball field, Dave. It's nothing to take away from that, you know, what I was, but it's just to know that all that, you know, is meaningless at the end of the day. This here is very real, and people's lives are on the line, you know, that I go out and minister to and preach to, and I want to make sure I keep myself holy and clear, you know, so they can know that it's real, so they can see that it's real. You know, it's a real transformation, and it's not one where I'm wavering and straddling the fence and being a hypocrite anymore.
So I'd say you could hit a home run or you could save a life and baptize somebody. I think you would choose one over the other now, right?
Of course I would. I would choose to save a soul and baptize them, because that's eternal. That's going to go into a different place compared to what we'll see from an earthly standpoint, and get to see with our own eyes here, because we get to see all this here, but the supernatural is on the other side once this is all over.
Now, your ministry, how can people find you and see you when this is all normal?
Well, they can see a lot of it. They can follow my Instagram. It's Darryl Strawberry 18 on that, and I do a lot of posting on my Instagram. To encourage people and stuff like that. But when all this is over, I'll be traveling back the country, because I usually travel like 250 times out of the year. Like an evangelist, I'm more like Billy Graham was, to going to different places and preaching in large churches and arenas and stuff like that. And our ministry is findingyourway.com. That's the ministry me and my wife have. So we share together, and we share everything that we do together for the glory of God, of just trying to love people and help people and meet people right where they're at. People are hurting during this time more than ever right now that we're in. And we as people who have been through things and walked through things, we try to encourage them throughout this process, that there will be trials and tribulations, but those that endure the trials and tribulations will have victory on the other side. And we just got to believe that from a standpoint of knowing that God is with us throughout this process, and He'll never leave us nor forsake us through a time like this. And we just have to understand that.
Well, now that you're doing this and you're touching lives, I mean, is it the same type of mental preparation that you went to face a Pedro Martinez, as opposed when you're about to walk out before 10,000 people, and speaking God's message? How do
Well,
you
no,
do that?
I think it's different. It's different because when I'm walking out to speak God's word, it's the Holy Spirit that's going to speak through me. So I leave it up on Him. I don't have to, depend upon me. I just have to be able to make myself available and be able to show up. And that's the most important thing. And during the ball game, it's more like me against a Pedro or somebody one-on-one. He's going to try to make me look bad, and I'm going to try to make him look bad in that situation. But in this situation, what I'm doing now is not the same. It's to bring hope, a great hope to people, eternal hope for people, so they can see that they can be set free from whatever bondage or change that may be holding them down, and they no longer have to live under that anymore.
You've talked about your successes and your struggles, and you're forever tied with Doc Gooden, Dwight Gooden, your teammate. You've overcome a lot of your demons. He's continued to have those struggles. Are you guys ever still in touch? We all saw the ESPN special, but do you communicate? Have you been able to help him or reach out or be an ear for him, or help him?
Oh yeah. I've been there for him for a long time. Just try to encourage him. You really don't try to get into anyone's personal life. You have to let everybody else figure it out for themselves. But all you try to do is, suggest some things and kind of just move out of the way. You don't really want to go over the top too much. So I tried to stay out of all that and just try to help him from a distance.
I talk when I speak now. I say I'm leaving my legacy. So because people can see that I was more than just a dude without legs. When you're gone 20, 30 years down the line, what do you want to be remembered for, and what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I want to leave my legacy for my kids, that they understand that Jesus is Lord. That's the legacy my mother left for me, and I want to be able to leave the same thing for my kids. I don't really want to leave a legacy that I was this great baseball player, who did well and had some troubles, but I want them to see me from the standpoint of standing somewhere and making a difference in other people's lives, and I think my kids recognize that today more than anything.
Well, Darryl, it's been great. We've gone along. Other than a couple technical gafus, it was really cool, and I really appreciate it, because you are such a great dude, and it was just nice to kind of sit here and just let people see a couple of buddies talk. And it's not like we're popping a beer or something. We are sincere. Your message is real. What you're doing is real. People need to know about your successes, just like you said about ESPN, and hopefully MLB Network or somebody will figure this out, because it would make a heck of a movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's up to them. It'll be their loss if they don't ever reach out, because they reached out when I was doing well and reached out when I had trouble. But, when you're doing really well in a different light, they they don't understand it because I'm having a greater impact on people's lives. And I think that's the most important thing. But I don't need the credit. I give all the credit to God, so I don't really need the credit for it. And I'm not trying to get any credit for it. I'm just trying to continue to be who I am today.
All right, my brother. Well, thank you for your time. Anything closing you want to say out there to everybody that loves you and watches you and is like the accolades have been great, man.
Well, I just want to say to all the people out there, I love you guys, you know, from a very special place, you know, for a very long time, and just stay encouraged as we walk through these very difficult times right now, and they will pass, you know, but I just encourage you to come out of this a different person and look and see things different, because one day, you know, this all could come to an end. Are you ready?
And the website again, and follow you on Instagram. Pitch it.
Darryl Strawberry 18 and findingyourway.com.
All right, my friend. Say hi to Tracy.
Right,
best of luck to you. We'll be in touch. And
hey, say hi to those kids for me, man.
I will. The boys, hopefully they're watching. If they're not, they're in trouble for not watching. So,
all right, tell them I say
love
hello.
you, man.
All right. Love
Take
you too,
care.
man.
Thank
all right,
you. All
you
right.
got it. Later.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.